Assembly please hear the moderator? The moderator has called the Assembly.
Is that okay? That's fine, Principal Clark. A good commanding voice. I'm trying not to be too bossy on my first day. Well, that's very kind. Okay, so we move to the... Oh, sorry, Michael Mayer.
Moderator, in my Procedure Committee report, I made an omission, and that is to say that tomorrow there is another service taking place at 12:45 in Greyfriars Church. This is the Gaelic service, and all are very welcome to go and attend that service as well. Commissioners who have just made use of the facilities, particularly the ladies, might be wondering why it's so warm in there. We believe that there's a broken valve. We have let our people know about this, and we hope to get it fixed over the weekend. But we are aware of the issue, and we will work to make sure it's a cooler, more enjoyable space in the future.
So we move to the report of the committee on overtures and cases, the returns to overtures, and the Principal Clerk.
Thank you, Moderator. I move the report, move the deliverance, but I also ask the Moderator in the Assembly if they would be willing to listen to the convener of the Theological Forum, as the substance of this report is from their committee.
Seconded.
So, Liam Fraser, as convener of the Theological Forum, I invite you to address the Assembly.
Moderator. In essentials, unity. In non-essentials, freedom. And in all things, love. This motto from a theologian of the 17th century articulates well not only the theme of this year's assembly, extravagant love, but the substance of the reforms that lie before the assembly now. Reforms that not only resolve a centuries-long disagreement within the Church of Scotland, but more importantly, meet the present needs of our church. Because in recent decades, the Church of Scotland has not had to seek its troubles. Disagreements over sexuality and gender, the pain of presbytery and of parish reform, and more recently, the debate over what is variously called assisted suicide or assisted dying, have all tested the unity of our church and our willingness to stay in communion with each other. It's at times of debate and disagreement and change, however, that what is unchanging and what is held in common by all Christians becomes crucial. And it is these doctrines concerning the character of our God and the salvation won for us in Jesus Christ, that are clarified and championed by the proposals before you now. This is not a new faith, but the one that we've been taught from birth. And yet, that faith has become obscured by a legal and confessional framework that is ambiguous and opaque, and by disagreements over secondary issues that detract from the beliefs we hold in common and our fundamental unity in Jesus Christ. Because it's when we know what unites us as Christians, and when we celebrate it, that we as individuals and as a church can have the strength to weather the storms that are beating against us, safe in the knowledge that we weather them together and in the fellowship of Father, Son, and Spirit. While our proposals clarify the fundamental doctrines of the faith which we hold in common with each other and all Orthodox Christians, we are, however, a Reformed church. We adhere to the Scottish Reformation of 1560. We hold the Westminster Confession as a subordinate standard. And in government, worship and practice are Reformed Christians. And for that reason, while clarifying and affirming the universal faith of the Church, the proposals before you now also recognise the place of the Scots Confession, the Westminster Confession, and the 1992 Statement of Faith as subordinate standards of our Church, to be housed with the Apostles' and Nicene Creeds in a new Book of Confessions. Office holders will vow to be guided by these statements of faith, reflecting the belief that office holders should read the Book of Confessions and take it seriously, but also that the conscience of office holders should not be overruled by secondary matters that do not enter into the fundamentals of our faith. Through these proposed reforms, which have now secured the support of over 90% of presbyters from across the Church and all presbyteries that voted, we believe that the concerns and interests of the majority of members, elders, and deacons will now be met. First of all, for those who do not agree with the Westminster Confession and want a more contemporary statement of faith, office holders will no longer have to make vows or subscribe to the Westminster Confession, and will have an opportunity to propose new confessions for inclusion within the Book of Confessions. Moreover, the conscience clause for all office holders will be retained, meaning that liberty of conscience on matters that do not enter into the substance of faith will be protected. Yet second, for those who worry that a change in the status of the Westminster Confession might lead to doctrinal confusion or the loss of our Reformed identity, by retaining the Westminster Confession as a subordinate standard, clarifying the location of the fundamental doctrines of the faith, and creating new teaching resources on the Westminster Confession and the Church's doctrinal position, we believe that the Reformed identity of the Church of Scotland will be strengthened. And finally, for those who think confessional reform is irrelevant and a distraction from the real task of ministry and mission, our new reforms will provide tools for teaching and discipleship, facilitate missional partnership with other denominations, and crucially, will resolve a disagreement over the role of the Westminster Confession that has persisted for centuries, allowing us to move on to other pressing matters. In essentials, unity. In non-essentials, freedom. And in all things, love. These are the gifts of all those who put their trust in the triune God of Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. And these are the gifts that we believe are strengthened by the proposals before you now. Moderator, I present the report, and as I'm not a commissioner, I invite the principal clerk to move the deliverance.
I do.
Seconded.
Thank you, convener. Are there any questions? Don't have notice of any. So we turn to the deliverance. Firstly, receive the report. And online. Any other questions or comments? No. Section 2. And online. Section 3. And online. Section 4. And online. The deliverance as a whole. And online. Thank you. Thank you, Liam.